Now I welcome chief guest of today's program, Dato TS Dr. Haji Amiruddin Bil Abdul Wahab, Chief Executive Officer, CyberSecurity Malaysia. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir. You can proceed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
I can proceed. Okay, thank you. Can you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
visible. Yes, sir.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Sushoban Mokhirji, the chairman of the Infosec Foundation, and also the CEO of Prime Infoserve. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I would like to thank the organizer for inviting me to deliver this plenary address on the topic of data protection and privacy, and a bit of sharing of how we do it in Malaysia. A bit of background of who we are, because I believe that our organization may be new to many of you because we are from Malaysia, but we are actually a government agency under the Ministry of Communications and Multimedia. We were established in 1997 and started as a CERT, Computer Emergency Response Team, called MyCERT. And in fact, we are one of the three oldest CERT in the Asia Pacific region. At that time, not many organizations has established this CERT entity. And since then, we have evolved. Finally, in 2007, we have been given a bigger mandate to drive the implementation of the National Cybersecurity Policy, and we were rebranded as CyberSecurity Malaysia and was launched by our former Prime Minister in 2007. And we have also been later on, we've been given a mandate, and finally in 2018 and 2019, we have been placed under the purview of the Ministry of Communications and Multimedia Malaysia. In terms of our role at the international level, we are actively involved in the various regional and global platforms. For example, in the context of the Asia Pacific CERT, currently we are the chairman of the Asia Pacific CERT, Computer Emergency Response Team. We are also the past chairman and currently the permanent secretary to the OIC CERT. And we involve in various other platforms in basically providing our networking and expertise and sharing of knowledge and information with regard to cybersecurity to the region. And some of our recent achievement, basically in 2019, we were the champion of the first Australian Cybersecurity Center and ASEAN Capture the Flag competition organized by Australia in Perth. Then we were also being engaged by Interpol, both from France and from Singapore, came to us, and we helped to Interpol to develop the first Interpol Global Guideline for Digital Forensic Lab, benefiting about 194 member countries around the world. And we also recently, just last year, about a few months ago in September 2020, our program, we were named as the World Summit of Information Society WISE's Prize 2020 for our capacity building program called Global Accredited Cybersecurity Education Center of Excellence. So these are some achievements. In addition to that, we were also, Malaysia as a country, were ranked 8th globally under the ITU Global Cybersecurity Index in 2018-2019. So a bit of background of our organization. So now let's go to the topic. We talk about the data protection in particular, and then as you know, when we talk about data nowadays, everything is about understanding the digital landscape, and we can see that nowadays people are very highly connected. You can see the population of internet users, basically about 60% of the total population of the world. And you can see also a very active social media users of about more than 50%, which is 53%. And this is statistics as of 2020 October. With this COVID-19, what we're experiencing is that there is an increase in institutional remote working. So more people working from home. There's also an accelerated migration to cloud, infrastructure and application. There's also growth the use of online collaborative tools. And like, for example, today we are using online tools for meetings, for webinars, for conference. Then we also see more attention to enterprise resilience and also even the rise of e-commerce, because everyone has to go and purchase online, and they are moving towards digitalization in all activities of daily life, whether individual or even businesses. And at the same time, these expanded cyber attack surfaces due to the increased telework. So these are the new norms actually, because COVID-19 has actually catalyzed digital transformation around the world in all sectors. Yeah? And we can see from these statistics also, and as of April 2020, for example, if you can see these statistics, you can see that people are spending more time with devices because they are maybe in lockdown or they have to stay at home. So they spend about 70% more in terms of usage of mobile phone and smartphone. Same thing with laptop, 45%, computers, 32%, tablet device, 22%. Mainly, we can say that there's an increase in every devices, especially digital devices during this COVID-19. So it shows that COVID-19 actually the key catalyst to digital transformation around the world. And you can see also as a result of the usage of digital activities, there's a lot of digital I would say activities that increase in the online activities, like watching movies, spending more time on social media, on messaging services, listening to music, etc. And in terms of online purchase also, people cannot interact or face-to-face. Some of them, they prefer to do purchase online. That's why the increase of the e-commerce. So you can see that a lot of statistics shows how much people now goes online to purchase their products or services, or whatever. And the same thing in meetings, like here today, also this year. Now we are having a conference, or we're having a webinar. We did it online. Normally we do it in physical, but now it has become a new norm for everyone around the world. As a result, one thing that we need to realize, a lot of this resulting in high traffic data, the coming and flood of data. And these are some of the statistics, like for example, the average internet users, 1.5 gig of traffic per day, the autonomous vehicle, the connected plane, etc. There's a lot of data that you can see the various data traffic that flows along various platforms around the world. So as we all know, data is the new oil and the new asset for everyone. And at the same time, because of that, you can see a lot of criminals or attackers taking opportunities out of this during this pandemic. And then, and you can see this study by this World Economic Forum, where it stated that one of the top 10 most likely fallout for the world include the cyber attacks and data fraud due to sustained shift in working patterns. At the same time, there's a statistic that studies to show the top 10 risks for 2020. And you can see cyber threats, number 6, and also privacy, identity management, and information security is also in the list of the top 10 risks. So it shows that because of the connectivity, it gives exposure is higher. At the same time, it gives opportunities for these criminals, cyber criminals or whatever, to basically gather more data, get more data from all of us, whether we realize it or not. And as a result, you can see the rise of cyber threats, especially when it comes to data breaches and also hacks. And these are some of the global phenomenon. I don't need to go through all the details, but you know that this is not only happening in other countries, but also can happen to our country. Malaysia also has, I think India also may have gone through, and many other countries is facing, because this is the new, I would say, trend nowadays, and it is increasing data breaches. So why cyberspace is attractive? Because it's borderless, unregulated, no country rules and own internet. As and also because of the convenience of services, anonymity, and less risk, no fear of making mistakes and getting caught. As you can see, the problem with many people also, they do not know how to protect their data. And based on the data that is there, like more than 85% of security leakage are caused by insecure username and password. Sometimes we don't change our default password. And sometimes we do not know that we give clue so that allows the criminals to collect, get more data and password, whatever from us. If you want to know whether you have been hacked or not, whether your data is being stolen, whatever, you can go to this "Have I been pawned?" Where you can check your email, you can put your email account, for example, and you will know whether it has been compromised in terms of the data breach. And the data breach impact is huge in terms of cost of remediation, loss of customers, business disruption, regulatory fines, legal and insurance costs, public relations, which is for bad reputation. I mean, huge. Well, people say that security is costly, but I would say insecurity is even more costly. So it is important to be serious about security and to help to protect the data that you may have, whether for personal or for corporate use, whatever. And there are challenges for sure. We realize that when it comes to face in data protection and privacy, for example, people are the weakest link when it comes to the security chain. 95% of all successful cyber attacks are caused by human error. And there's also lack of experts and skill in this area. Budget is always an issue. People say, well, why do I need to invest in cybersecurity? Because to them, maybe it is expensive or whatever. But, and whether we could afford the latest technology to mitigate the data breach. These are some of the challenges, and we need to manage between cost and risk. Also, that I mentioned earlier, the users use simple and easy password, and also lack of awareness about this issue of data breach. So we need to approach this protection of data in a holistic manner, covering not only the aspects of technical, but also aspects of people, process, and technology. And in the context of Malaysia, we have recently launched last year in October 2020, a new Malaysia cybersecurity strategy, focusing on secure, trusted, and resilient, and fostering economic prosperity and citizens' well-being, with the mission to fortify local capabilities, predict, detect, deter, respond to cyber threats. And under this, we have identified 5 pillars, which is effective governance and management, strengthening the legislative framework and enforcement, catalyzing world-class innovation, technology, R&D, and industry, enhancing capacity and capability building, awareness and education, and also strengthening global collaboration. We believe in this collaboration. And in addition to that, we have added these 5 pillars. The government has also, we have, I would say, developed 12 strategies, as you can see in the list in each of these pillars. So we have 5 pillars and with 12 strategies under this MCSS, or this is our new cybersecurity master plan. In addition to that, we believe that when we approach cybersecurity, we know that technology evolves very fast. So in terms of protecting our data, information, etc., we also need to evolve with technology. Sometimes we have to realize that traditional security is no longer sufficient to manage cyber threats, such as firewalls, IPS, antivirus. So there is a need to also what we call the multi-layered defense, or defense in depth, that covers aspects. You can look at the diagram where the data is at the heart of it. It needs to be covered not just like a one parameter defense, but it needs to cover by the various aspects, policy, process, physical, and many angles, covering people, process, and technology. Okay. And at the same time, in Malaysia, as part of that, we have our legal aspects, which is we have our Personal Data Protection Act. This is actually was gazetted in 2010, and currently the government of Malaysia is reviewing it and going to amend it, incorporating new developments such as the GDPR and many more development in this area. And we hope we could help get it amended, if not this year, next year. So that's in the process, covering the gaps that may be there. So we do realize the limitation of these laws because it was done in 2010. But then at the same time, there are areas that we know now need to be improved based on the experience that we have previously. In addition to that, from the angle of data protection, we believe we have also established what we call Cryptographic Policy in 2013, with a focus on comprehensive applications of cryptography locally developed in government to government, government to citizens, government to business, and business to business activities. And it is part of our strategy to support our national digital economy programs. Also, to address it from the aspects of process. That means fully comply to the various international standards, applying, for example, the ISMS, ISO IEC 27001. And then most of all, I would say, our labs are basically all internationally accredited to ensure that we are able to provide the necessary protection and also to provide the necessary service that fulfill the security and data protection criteria. To manage the internal threat, we have our own locally developed, together with our industry players, local industry players, a data leakage protection. This is we call securely comprehensive, high performance enterprise data leakage prevention capabilities, detecting and preventing insider threats. Using, for example, the CyberSecurity Malaysia data classification, we have classifications such as top secret, secret, confidential, etc. And no, we should not forget about the people. So we have 3 layers of people from our program on cyber safe, for awareness, for cyber guru, focusing on practitioners in building them, the competencies needed, and also global ACE. This is for professional cybersecurity education. And this is where the one that I earlier highlighted, where we won the YC's Prize 2020. It's about professional education. And this is actually an industry-driven, about vendor-neutral program to nurture cybersecurity knowledge and expert that are resilient to cybersecurity incident and basically capable to to help the data protection activities. Some other key data protection measures, covering the aspects of the CIA, the confidentiality, integrity, and ability. And there are various here, as you can see in the slide. I don't go to the detail. There are aspects of people there. There are aspects of technology there. There are backup policy. But at the same time, also the important thing, maybe I want to highlight from one of these key protection is about response plan. Very important. If after you have done all the necessaries and you still being breached, so what are the things that you need to do? And this is where we need to understand how to manage this issue. For example, like we need firstly to stop the breach, to assess the damage, to notify users who are affected by the data breach, review and execute the security audit, and update the recovery plan. And in CyberSecurity Malaysia, we have a hotline center called Cyber 999 Help Center, where everyone, whether individual or organization, public or private sectors, netizens, they can report any incidents to us so that we can do the necessary to assist and provide them the necessary technical assistance. And in conclusion, as I mentioned earlier, one of the strategies under MCSS is basically to increase and strengthen global cooperation. So I hope that through this global webinar, it gives an opportunity for Malaysia also to strengthen our collaboration that already has been established in 2015, where I was also there, signing with the government representative from India and witnessed by both the Prime Minister of India and also Malaysia at that time, during his first visit when he became the Prime Minister. And one of the 3 areas that when they signed MOU, one of that is in the area of cybersecurity. And this is where we see that we can continue and strengthen this collaboration. In addition to that, we would love to also strengthen our partnership with surrounding countries, maybe like in Bangladesh and the surrounding countries in the area. Because we believe that when it comes to this issue of cybersecurity, data protection, no entity can do it alone. We have to collaborate. We have to work whether with public sector, with academia, with the industry. It is important for us to work together because as mentioned earlier, no one can handle it alone. And some more, this is not a local issue or concern. It is a global, it is a borderless matters. With that, thank you very much. And I hope it gives some insights to our experience in Malaysia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Now we proceed to our next session, that is launching of Infosec quiz. And I request Mr. Amrit Chetri to take the stage to announce the launching of Infosec quiz. Mr.